Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the All Balls Sports Show. Brought to you in part by True Love's Pizza and Grits at 1144 Riverside Drive. A discussion of any and all sports, local, regional, and national. And now, here are your hosts, Dan James, Eddie Bobo, Ty Cobb, and the coach, Vance Ballou.
Thank you, Bill Jones. Welcome into this evening's edition of All the Ball Sports Show for this 13th day of February of 2018. We've got Mini-Me in tonight.
Yes, we do.
We've got the other coach,
Coach Ballou,
Eric Ballou
2.0.
That's right.
Coach Ballou 2.0.
That is true. Guys, how are y'all tonight?
Doing well.
Got Kirk Shepard in with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and be talking about that shortly. Got Eric Ballou in, and Chip Matlock, and Eddie Bobo, and glad to have you guys along.
Hey, glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to be anywhere.
Yeah.
Just happy to be seen.
Exactly.
Happy to be alive.
All right, now we brought Eric in because he and his brother Bryant and his cousin Colton have a project going that you went public with on Facebook, and you showed Bryant's picture. That was just a bad thing to do.
I know. That was poor marketing on my end.
Colton looked so good. But you guys, tell us what you guys are involved in. You're into a fundraiser.
Right, yeah. And we started this, called a brand, called Respond, probably about a year ago.
Right.
And it was just something that, me and a couple of my friends, and of course me, Colton and Bryant, we would, give these T-shirts to our friends because we're trying to promote the scripture from Isaiah 6:8. Isaiah is being called a mission, and he has this really difficult task, and he's being called to go somewhere and start ministry. And the Lord says, "Who's going to go for us? Whom shall I send?" And the verse that this is based off of, he says, "Here I am, send me." And that's what the front of our shirt saying, and it's called Respond. And I feel like of course, we're always in a time, and I feel like Christianity, especially in our country, we're lacking initiative. We're not responding to our calling the way we should be. Obviously, you can tell by all the social injustice and all the issues going on in our country. So that's kind of what sparked that about a year ago. And I talked to the person that I was involved with in my campus ministry at Tennessee Tech and at UNA called Campus Outreach. And they do this thing every summer called Summer Beach Project, which is, I went twice and it was incredible. You have to raise support to go, but you get a full-time job down at the beach. And you live at the beach, and it sounds like vacation, but you're actually working 40 hours a week, and you're probably putting in 20 to 30 hours of biblical teaching and ministry, and just learning how to become a disciple, learning how to become the most responsive Christian you can be. And I went twice, and I can say, the 2 months that I was there, it's almost like years and years and years of growth is just packed into one summer. And it's incredible, but a whole lot of kids have a hard time raising support for it because it does cost a little money, but it is worth it. So that's why I'm trying to promote these shirts. All proceeds are going to go straight to the fundraiser. So none of us will be pocketing any money. And we have the T-shirts on Facebook. It's under my name, Eric Ballou, and you'll have all the information there. And we hope to raise a lot of money before the summer.
So tonight you have a drawing.
That's right. Yes, we have a drawing. Everybody who shared the post that I made, you still have a chance. So if you're not a friend with me, add me and share that post on Facebook, and we'll be picking a random winner to get a free T-shirt and hat. So plan on doing that tonight.
Well, good deal. This kind of parlays into Kirk Shepard, who's with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. There's one thing I wanted to ask you. You've been on before, so we've covered a lot of your ground. When there's a school shooting like there was in Kentucky, at Marshall County High School, Kentucky, which I always want.
Right.
I always want the broadcasters to say Kentucky at the end of that to not confuse.
I actually cover Murray and Marshall County, Tennessee.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, it gets old.
But when something like that happens, that close to where we are, how do you guys respond with FCA?
I can tell you that in this particular instance, we have a very strong FCA presence there, and our area representative in Western Kentucky was actually there within about 15 minutes of the actual incident and stayed there all day. In fact, our regional director sent out an email to us that day and said, "Hey guys, you need to be praying for him. He's been there and just ministering." A couple things that people don't know behind the scenes at that particular school. Several coaches, very strong Christians. I want to make sure I'm quoting this correctly. The baseball coach, what he gave as a gift to all of his seniors, they get a competitor's Bible with their name engraved on it, which is one of the FCA Bibles that we have, and he gives that to his seniors, and so just a really strong Christian presence there on that campus. And so, like I said, because of the relationships that were already built, he was there and was able to really be able to minister to the kids. And I've been in that situation, not as with FCA. I've been in that situation as a school resource officer, and I can tell you that when those kind of days, you're worn out. You're mentally, physically just drained completely because you're giving all day long. All day. And so and of course, in that situation for Marshall County, Kentucky, it's a long process for them to recover. It is a very long process.
All right, now
a lot of healing.
Step back into your SRO mode for a second and answer us a question.
Sure.
How come this 15-year-old who did an adult crime is not identified?
Now keep in mind, we're talking about Marshall County, Kentucky.
Exactly.
So there's
the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
What I'm trying to get at is laws are different in Tennessee than are in Kentucky. I can tell you the way in Tennessee, the state law is you don't identify juveniles, and and I'm assuming that the law is very similar in Kentucky, that because they're a juvenile, they are not identified. Now, in Tennessee, you can try them as an adult, but there's a procedure that has to be gone through, and for them to be able to do that. And in Tennessee, it's actually a little bit hard. It's pretty hard to try somebody as an adult. You have to show that they're beyond therapeutic intervention, and you have to be able to show that in a court of law. It's called a transfer hearing. I'm assuming. And we all know what assuming does. I'm assuming there's something similar to that. I want to be very careful that there's a procedure in place in Kentucky.
Easy there, FCA guys.
that we have to make sure that there's a procedure similar to that in Kentucky, and so the last thing I'd heard, and they really haven't covered it a whole lot, and I hadn't had it, and I've been so busy in the last week or so, I haven't had a chance to really check on the follow-up because I usually like to know that kind of stuff. If they were looking, they had not made any decisions at the time within the first couple of days of the shooting as to whether they were going to try him as an adult. There's a lot of factors they have to look into, and I honestly don't know if they've made that decision yet or not. That will be up to the local DA to determine whether they try him as a juvenile or as an adult.
My personal opinion, if they don't, it's a miscarriage of justice.
Well, again, there's certain criteria, and I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what.
Throw the criteria out the window. He did an adult crime. He should pay the adult price. Just saying. That's my opinion, and it should be yours.
A lot to be said for the Jewish laws on that.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Hey, we would be remiss if we did not send our thoughts and prayers out to the family of the firefighter in Lawrenceburg who was killed last night fighting a fire. These guys, and I wish Ty was here, but I understand he probably can't be because of, obviously, Columbia Fire Department is helping out Lawrenceburg.
They responded down there to be able, so that because their fire department's having a lot of issues. I was actually down in Lawrenceburg this morning and talking with several people that knew them. I was there for another meeting, but other area firefighters have been coming in to assist because it's like losing a family member.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And it's my understanding that what occurred was that they had actually gotten the fire out and they were going back in to put out some hot spots, and the roof fell in on it.
Yeah. 38-year-old Jason Dickey of Lawrenceburg Fire Department has 3 children and 1 on the way.
My goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and Columbia Fire Department assisted by taking over a shift, and then Murfreesboro came in and relieved them. So this is a brotherhood that is. If anybody has ever been to the Firefighters Memorial, I did a lot of those every year after 9/11. Then you realize just how tight these guys are, and my heart goes out to them because they just it's just heartbreaking whenever you lose a member of either of anyone who does that for first responders. It's just tough. It's just tough, and all of us in here have touched somebody or been touched by someone who was a firefighter or a police officer or whatever, and it's just it's a tough thing to go through, and hearts and prayers go out to them.
Absolutely. It's going to be a hard situation for them. It really is. And
It will be.
Don't know if you know their chaplain for their department is actually
Yes.
Chad Moore.
Yes, Rachel Moore's husband.
Rachel's husband. Great guy, and so I felt really. It was very comforting for me when I found that out today that he was a chaplain, because I know Chad.
Well, it broke my heart to watch him
have
to do that,
right,
because like any of us would in that situation, he came apart, and I understand that. Because when you're talking to somebody near and dear to you that you've been really tight with, it's a hard thing to do.
It is, and it's really hard on. There will be other counselors coming in to help.
Oh, yeah.
They have an organization where fellow firefighters will come in and help to work with them, as we have in law enforcement, same kind of thing. But for Chad, I mean, part of the thing that's hard on a chaplain in that situation is that you have all these emotions, that all the sense of loss that you're going through personally too, and yet you have to you're there to comfort others, the spouses and to comfort the other firefighters, and so it's a really hard position and a lot of stress.
Just have to remember, these are the guys that run in; they don't
That's
run
right.
out. They run in and take care of it. So keep your thoughts in Lawrenceburg right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's see. Some business to take care of. Top of the hour here. Columbia Baseball selling smart cards. I'll hold this up. Selling smart cards for $20. Yes, my wife got hit up the other night at the front door, so they came by and they hit us up for $20.
I'm sure we have one. My wife has already been asked. I'm
sure
but I have not. I haven't seen the card yet, but I'm sure we.
Yeah,
she
chances are you ain't gonna see it, Hoss. And the Columbia Lions football selling Boston Butts like they did last year, 8 to 10 pounds for like $35 a piece.
And I can tell you, I've eaten.
Oh,
them,
yeah.
so they're good. It's worth it. It's worth
It's
it.
pretty awesome.
When are those going on sale now?
Those are on sale right now. You can call the school 381-2222. Talk to Miss Norma or Miss Dorothy, and they have all the information about when you can pick it up and all that kind of stuff. Pickup is actually going to be Saturday, March 10th. It'll be from 8 to 11 a.m. at the parking lot at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. So.
And if you know a football player, they're selling them also.
Are they?
So if you know a football player, you know them, give them a call. They will be happy to help you.
And they are good.
They are.
Matter of fact, I'm having one with somebody. She knows who she is. It's Miss Amy and her family. See, Amy's the one, I got to tell you this. Amy's the one that gave me the Man Cave chocolate thing here. And then she gave me the Panic Pete, which is right here. But in order to make Panic Pete look like he's Russian, I just took a microphone thing and put it on Panic Pete's head.
Maybe Peter, is that Peter and the Wolf? Is he going?
I have absolutely no idea. And this is
No quiero Taco Bell.
exactly. That's what that came
Was
from.
this song Mexican Radio?
No. Oh, that was Wolfman Jack. back in the 50s and 60s. Let's see. All right, coming up on District 8 AAA basketball. We're at that time of year now. Play-in game tonight. Columbia's at Lincoln County. Tomorrow night, boys play-in game will be Shelbyville at Franklin County. And then coming up at Columbia, we are hosting in the new gymnasium, which has also been named for Hardy Lloyd.
Coach Lloyd, absolutely.
Friday, the girls' tournament will be Tullahoma versus Lawrence County, and 4 o'clock will be Columbia versus Lincoln County winner versus Franklin County. Okay. And then 7 o'clock, Tullahoma versus Lincoln County at 5. Franklin County Shelbyville winner takes on Lawrence County at 8:30.
Also that night,
8:30.
so we're hosting districts, and I believe we're hosting regionals also.
Are we?
Yes.
Wow.
We're hosting regions.
Jim's going to get wore out for a week.
Yes. And I think they were supposed to host districts last year, and they asked because they were building the gym and working on that. They asked if they could do it this year, and I think they were already. I believe they were already scheduled to do regions, and so it just worked out that way.
Saturday, the girls' contest will be the Tullahoma Lawrence County winner taking on on Coffee County at 2 o'clock. And then the Columbia Lincoln County winner, Franklin County winner, will be Shelbyville at 5 o'clock. And then boys, Tullahoma Lincoln, forget it.
Well, and just to add one more thing in there on you, not only we have an incredible basketball going on Friday night, but we've got rugby jamboree.
Yes, we do.
Starting at 4 o'clock at the stadium.
Is it 4 or 4:30? I think it's 4:30.
4 is the information. Well, let me point this out. And I fussed at not your dad, but I fussed it.
Hey, his dad ain't got nothing to do with rugby.
I know. I fussed it because I was on Spring Hill High School's website, and they had that. Hey, this jamboree, rugby jamboree's coming up on Friday, and they had the information on it starting at 4. So I go to Columbia Central's website. They didn't have it up. So I fussed at Mr. Wilson and said, "Hey, how come I got to find this out up there? Come on." So I believe the information I had said 4 o'clock. Now
just hang on.
You're gonna text and find out.
No, I'm not going to. No. I got the schedule. Hang on just a second. There it is. It would be, ladies and gentlemen, 4:30.
4:30. Okay.
4:30. Jamboree at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Which means it'll probably be 5 o'clock before it gets started.
But if you have, it's starting getting colder too.
But if you have never seen action like you,
it is well worth going to.
It's awesome.
And it's one of those that you can do both, man. And go to both of them. You'll just have fun.
Oh yeah, you will.
It just spend your time, bouncing back and forth because it's going to be a wonderful evening.
It is going to be. So check out Lindsey Nelson Stadium.
Rugby's kind of a combination of football, soccer, basketball, all wrapped up in one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And rugby predates actually American football, so
right.
I think they kind of was derived somewhat from rugby.
But if you've never seen it, you've got to go watch these girls play.
Oh yeah.
They have learned how to tackle. Football teams could take lessons from these girls on how to tackle.
And they're rough. They don't play. It's
a physical sport. That's for sure.
It's a physical
sport.
Mm-hmm.
There was a smackdown going on last year.
I was Columbia
Central
has been just really great, and they've really developed a great program there. I'm also really proud of the way that they have assisted and worked with Spring Hill, and I think Spring Hill is going to have an incredible program. They're building right now, I think within a few years, but it was just so cool to see Columbia Central helping them and working with them as they wanted to start their program. And I'd love to see rugby just take off in this area because it is so much fun.
But I just don't want to see Coach LaFawn play his ace card and show them what he knows. Not the whole thing.
Not everything.
We're going to show you. We're going to show you rugby, but we ain't going to quite show you all of it. I mean, you really don't want to do that. Hey, and give kudos too. He's got 4 girls on the rugby team this year that are going to go to Las Vegas and play with a Tennessee team that they've been invited to play with out there.
Wow, I did not know. That's incredible.
Yeah. So they're also in the middle of a fundraiser. And they're trying to get those girls enough money to go out there. So come on and check it out on Friday at 4:30. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It definitely will be.
We're going to have a good time. And if it rains, we're going to be.
We'll be dry.
I'm going to tell you, when it rains, as long as it's not freezing cold when it rains, it's still fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
it is a blast. Because I've been out there when it's raining before, and it is they're pretty covered up in mud. I'm gonna plug something here. Shameless plug.
No, it's okay.
For an FCA event, we have an FCA Man Up Combine next Saturday, February 24th, and we hold it at Game Time they're so kind to us to allow us to use their facilities. And it's just like a combine, just like the NFL combine. You're doing the same stuff. They'll be doing dashes and they'll be doing weightlifting and I mean everything that and keeping score. We'll have football teams from 6 different counties there, and so it's a great thing for high school. It's high school only, high school football teams to be there. I've been promoting it. Ben Gooch, another area guy for FCA, has been promoting it in his area. And we are really excited about it. It's a great event. Here's the thing: it costs the kids $10 for it to do it. They get the combine, they get lunch, and they get a T-shirt.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
You can't beat that. You can't beat that. Starts at 9. We'll wrap up the combine part of it about noon. We'll feed them, and while they're eating, we'll be tallying the scores. And while they're eating, we've got a special speaker coming in, Al Cobb. He played for Giles County, quarterback for them, and then quarterback for the Virginia Military Institute, VMI.
All for $10?
All for $10. You can't beat that.
You can't beat that.
No, it's definitely worth it.
And be fed too?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
No, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, it is. It's a great deal.
a
The
bargain.
T-shirt alone is, usually a T-shirt's going to cost you $10.
Yeah.
So it's a great
Yeah,
opportunity.
Eric's into that right now.
That's
He
right.
knows.
He knows. He knows.
I am.
Well, and you get to, you compete. They do things like that. Each team does things like that where you're keeping track. But when you're competing against other people on your own team, it's one thing when you get to see 6 counties of players doing it. It really gives you a better perspective, and it tells you as a player, this is what I need to do. This is where I'm at, and I've got time to improve and make it better to really be at the level I want to be at when the season starts. So it's a great opportunity. So I'm excited about that. Want to make sure everybody knows, and I will tell you. Let me do a shout out. I need Christian men to be there. I really do. Guys that would like to come. I need some men there because we need people just helping us tally scores. And what you're doing is you're just hanging out talking to teenagers, to teenage guys, and it's really they need that. They need men to be able to see men, older brother age, uncle age, dad age, granddad age. They need to see men around there to build. Yeah, I'm throwing y'all under the bus. That's right. Nobody can get out of that one. Okay. We need them there just to be there.
Which one of those are you
out.
throwing me into?
I'm not giving anybody an out. Let me put it that way. I'm not giving anybody an out. Seriously, if you do, please give me a call, 931-797-5260. Tell me you're interested in being there. I need you there. Hey, here's the thing. You come and help, you get a T-shirt, and you get food, and you don't have to pay anything.
I would love to be able to
it's
be
an opportunity
there,
for you to be able to help
unfortunately,
those
I have to work that Saturday.
Well, I'm just throwing that out.
So
Somebody's buzzing me right now.
See, there you go.
That was quick.
And somebody calling me. Okay, so can't do it on the air, folks. Sorry. Our first caller. No, we don't have it set up for that. Right. First caller number 1. Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna do something because I've got Eric here, and I've been wanting to do this for a long, long time. I'm gonna give you a series of questions.
Oh, geez. All right.
Well, these are things you know about.
Okay.
Let's go back to the glory years of 2010, 2011, all in that kind of era right there.
Okay.
What is your greatest memory of Lindsey Nelson Stadium?
Of Lindsey Nelson. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. This is easy. Let's see. Semifinals, 2009 is the only year me and my brother played together. That was the most successful year, or the most wins we had in school history. Mm-hmm. And after the game, my dad pulled me and my brother together and just told us, how proud he was of us and how happy he was that that this team had both of us on there. And there ain't a stat or a play that'll ever compare to an experience like that. That's easily my favorite memory at the stadium for sure.
What was your worst memory at Lindsey Nelson Stadium?
My worst memory? Oh,
for those of those listening, it's either the ice maker in the kitchen over here, or it's my dog at the door. I'm not sure which one it is. So don't worry about it.
Well, fortunately, I think while I was on varsity, we went whatever and won. So we lost the first round my senior year, but that was the only loss I ever experienced at Lindsey Nelson, which was that's pretty rare. So, but I mean that's probably it. Losing one game. So
In the 2009 championship and followed up with 2010, what was your greatest memory of those 2 years at Cookeville?
2009, probably just personally just getting to play. I didn't think I was going to play that game because I experienced a concussion the week before, and I was very emergency only situation where I could go in. And I just didn't think I was going to get to play at all, and I got to play. Similar with 2009, I mean, I get to play in the state championship game with my dad and my brother on the same team. That's unreal. And then 2010, I mean, the wave of emotions with that game. I mean, it's pretty unreal. Probably going back to just experiencing that moment with my family, friends too. The fact that, and I think a huge testament to my dad goes into that, keeping us focused and keeping us focused on the right things. Obviously not forgetting about what's going on. He kind of heightened what was going on and saying, okay, this is what's going on here. So this is how we're going to handle this situation.
But he had to let you guys know.
Right, definitely. And I don't know, just the whole experience. I mean, it's hard to just being it with my friends and family, just that whole experience, sharing that with everybody, because there was so much stuff going on. I mean, my grandfather passed away that season too. My mom being there for that, and my grandma being there, that was, I don't know, just being able to experience that was pretty much everybody that I really love and care about was there in the stadium. So that's definitely was probably the best part about that experience. So,
but what was really interesting to watch is every time that the game was over, you jumped the fence and went to see your granddad Ernest. That was so neat.
Yeah,
to see you do that.
I love that. He, to be honest, I mean, just given my parents' busy schedules and they were retired, but he probably up until the point where he passed away, he probably was at more games than my parents were, just because, I mean, that's just how devoted he was. I mean, obviously they were retired, but I mean, if my parents couldn't make it to a game, he was always there, and they was always in the backstop. I mean, in the umpire's ear, in the referee's ear. Definitely my grandmother too. But
oh yeah, I loved her. I did.
My goodness, I loved them both.
She was a sweetheart.
And it's funny that you say that about me running up into the stands. Number one, I love doing it because I love my grandfather. He was awesome. But ever since I started playing football, I would get paid per touchdown.
I know. I've heard that story until you started racking up some real big money.
Well, what was funny was that I don't remember what game it was. I think I may have been a freshman playing quarterback, and this shows you how type of guy my grandfather was. He'll shoot you straight. I think I had thrown 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, and I went up to see him after the game, like I always do. And he asked me, well, where's my money?
Yeah.
He said, you didn't get any touchdowns and you turned the ball over.
I knew I liked that, man.
So I learned the concept of wages really quick.
Yeah.
Really quick with that, man. But definitely most supportive grandparents I could ever ask for.
Well, you got the most supportive family.
I do. I'm very, very blessed.
On both sides.
Definitely.
So I have been just honored and privileged to know both sides of the family. So.
I appreciate that. They'd be glad to hear that too.
Oh, I know, but they're very special to me, and always have been.
Yes, sir.
So
and we missed you Sunday, by the way.
Oh, I know. College coursework.
No, somebody kept you out too late
the
Jelly
night
roll?
before, yeah.
Unreal.
So what time did we come in?
I don't know. I fell asleep in the car.
Oh,
I slept the whole way home.
We heard 3 a.m. I don't know.
Whoa.
That wasn't when I was asleep. I'll tell you that right. I slept the whole way home.
Oh, man.
Have you had a chance to talk to Shaq since Super Bowl?
No, not yet. He's back in town though, I think. So I'm probably gonna. talk to him soon.
I had spoken to Orlando Cox last Tuesday night at Columbia Central during Hal Merle's official retirement from Columbia Central basketball, and he said that that Shaq is going to take a little time off.
Yeah.
And he's not going to do interviews and that kind of stuff. But when it's time, we'll have him back on this show.
Right.
And of course, you're invited to come back and grill him if you want. If you want to.
Well, I mean, I definitely, I think that's a wise decision. And I mean, he's not forced to do anything. He should do what he feels comfortable with, and he's very, very competitive, and as a man, you should be able to choose how you want to handle certain losses in your life and certain situations. So, he's doing it the way he thinks he should, and that's how a man should do it. So, I mean, I'm glad he's speaking up for himself.
And by the way, for all the naysayers out there for the Patriots and pointing the finger at Shaq on that last play or whatever where the ball got loose, forget about it. Just forget about it.
Well, I think, and I did sometimes I'll do a performance grade on guys that I'll just watch, and I like doing it on Shaq, and I had him at a 98%, which is, I mean, and if I'm gonna grade Shaq, I'm gonna grade Shaq hard, just like I do any of my other friends.
Oh, sure.
But he graded at a 98% from my perspective, against a top 3 defensive tackle in the country and a future Hall of Famer, Fletcher Cox. So, I mean,
well, and I felt so bad for him because that's what people want to remember. I was like, you know what, he did it, like you said, 98%. He did an incredible job that night. It just so happened that the one sack caused, was a major turning point, and I hated that for him. I really did.
But to their credit, neither one of the commentators said a word.
No, you're right. You're right.
Neither one. Now, Collinsworth a couple of times had spoken very well of Shaq all night long. Never said one disparaging remark.
And I appreciate that because it's not, it's not one, one of the first things you learn in football is it's not one person. It never is.
No, it's
one
a team.
Person.
They never
several
should,
factors.
At that point, they never should have been in that position anyway for that one play.
Right.
Shouldn't have been. I mean, they should have taken the lead on. I mean, if Brady had just put his hands out and caught the ball. I mean, come on. Here's a receiver. He knows.
Oh yeah.
Don't you stretch for it?
Yeah,
Eric. I mean, really? Instead of having it.
Yeah.
I'm reaching up and getting a bread basket off the top shelf. It's instead of going for it. I mean,
there was
really?
nobody near him,
No.
so he wasn't going to get hit.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he's made his career throwing the ball, so I guess you can
Maybe a reason for that.
be a little easy on him for Johnny. Pretty good career.
Let's see.
That's right. Oh,
I believe a little later the Philadelphia guy didn't have any problem with it.
Oh, he did.
That's true.
Yeah, but there's been some comment made that the formation was actually illegal that they used when they got that touchdown.
I don't know about that because they actually took that play from another.
I'm just
team.
going by
No,
one of the
because
heads
I think
of
they
the.
said because it was close to being illegal, but I think, and I'm trying to remember the details on it because there was specific things he had done.
This is from one of the heads of officiating.
Yeah.
In the NFL,
Because the
that
quarterback
said that.
has to be set for a second when he's in motion. But
right.
what I've seen is 2 different clocks. Like one clock says he was set for 1.04 seconds, and one clock says he was set for 0.98 seconds or something like that. So I guess it just depends on.
Well, it depends on if it's got to be set for 1 second, and we just divide. You
Yeah.
divide it. There you go. He still made it. He's still good. Split the
I mean,
difference.
the bottom line, he still caught the ball and he scored.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Well, and I'll just tell you the thing that I appreciated about that particular game was, when they're presenting the Lombardi Trophy, you saw all 3 of the guys that were up there. I mean, the head coach, the quarterback, and Ertz, the tight end, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all 3 of them, they gave glory to God and to Jesus, and I was just so. I mean, I was like, oh, praise God.
Yeah, I really like Zach Ertz.
Yeah, and I'd seen an interview he had done earlier that week. And
he's a
just
good family
really,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
He's bold.
yeah.
Absolutely bold. And the thing about the Eagles, they've been having a revival within the team for the whole season. I'd been hearing about it throughout the season. I mean, they really had. They were getting. There were guys being baptized in the pool. There were spouse. I think there's a spouse Bible study was on Monday night. The team players Bible study was on Tuesday night. They were doing chapel on Saturday, and this is like we're showing. I mean, people are showing up. A lot of people, and they were just really. I think it was another bonding issue for them, but it was pretty awesome to see that occur. And I think that they gave glory to God when they had an opportunity, and I appreciated that very much.
All right, now you can turn your head for a second because we're going to talk UT football here for you. And I know that being Alabama in the family, I get that. I do.
Yeah, I got an Alabama guy in there now, so I guess I have a little input.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you do have a
bad
little
mouthing
input.
too much there. Yeah.
$7 million for their staff.
Well, one of their assistants left today.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
But he left not on his own accord.
Well, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know anything about that.
He was the last holdover from the Butch Jones.
Oh. So don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah, don't let the
Basically.
doorknob hit you where the
Yeah.
good Lord split you.
He didn't have a new contract.
No.
He was still on the old.
Old
Okay.
contract.
But here's the thing. I saw that they said that, but the reality was this. For a long time, UT football, the UT head coach, made more money. It was the highest paid state official because technically you're working for the state.
Yeah.
Highest paid state official in the state of Tennessee.
And he wasn't producing.
Well, this goes back for many years. This is even pre Butch Jones. I mean, this goes back for many years. And so the reality is we people want to complain about that, but let's take a look at it from the business perspective. Okay, gross and net. How much money does UT make off the football program? And so if you want to, and if
Hopefully more than last year.
yeah.
Because toward the end of the year, I mean, Mac Reagan was in last week. He said that last game that they played at Knoxville was like 5,000 people in the stands.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not talking about. Keep in mind,
ended again.
yeah, I'm not talking. Yeah, that was towards the end. That's not the
But
beginning.
still,
But
even
I'm not.
at the
I'm not
beginning,
talking about just attendance. I'm talking about when you look at marketing and everything,
Oh, yeah,
and everything else. It makes quite a bit of money. They're definitely, there's not an issue. And of course,
but it
if you're
wasn't
building a
making
winning
as
team-
much as it used to.
Right. There were some people upset, and I think that was one of the reasons, that Jones was probably let go, is because it, hey.
Well, I think they knew that if they didn't do something, they were going to have some big money people pull their money out.
Absolutely.
And
Jones did an incredible job recruiting, but he wasn't producing
he couldn't do
on the
nothing
field.
with it.
He wasn't producing on the field, and
Well,
that makes a difference.
Saban down at Alabama is a bargain at $10 million a year
Oh yeah.
because they're bringing in gobs.
And I would venture to say that he's probably the highest paid government official in the state of Alabama. I think that's probably a pretty safe bet
For
right there.
Alabama, yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't kidding.
yeah.
Now, that's no disparaging remark on the folks from Alabama.
Now, wait
I
a
was
minute.
born in Alabama, so just don't.
Well, I was too.
Don't
I
go
understand.
there.
I understand. So-
Here's one question though: is the governor of Arkansas moved out of that triple wide? They actually got a house now. Just asking.
I don't know about that.
I think they bought him one of them tiny homes.
His name is Chip Matlock. And for you folks who are watching in Arkansas, I'll be more than happy to give you his number.
I'm not joking. They used to have. That was the governor's residence,
A triple wide.
a triple wide.
Better than a double wide.
Were they redoing the governor's mansion or something?
No, they actually didn't have a mansion at the time. They were,
Would that
but I
been
think
have?
they now.
Would that
The Bill
been?
Clinton era? or
That's what I'm
something?
saying. Yeah, was that during the Bill Clinton era?
back during Bill's time and stuff.
Just, I lived in Memphis when he was running for U.S. president, and I do remember because Memphis is right across the river from Arkansas. We had a lot of Arkansas cars you'd see, and you see these bumper stickers and it said Clinton for president, anything to get him out of Arkansas. That was the. I'm serious.
Vroom.
They were all over the place there.
Oh my.
You guys.
Here's something for you.
We strayed off of sports on that.
Former Papa John CEO John Schnatter has been informed that Colin Kaepernick's legal team seeks to depose him as part of the quarterback's collusion case against the NFL, according to a source with knowledge of the situation.
What does he know?
What does Papa John's Pizza have to do with the NFL collusion?
Schnatter earned criticism within his company and outside of it for remarks he made on an earnings call during the season, blaming the NFL's declining ratings and citing players kneeling during the national anthem for his declining sales.
Because he had linked so much,
Yes.
very much with it. Yeah,
And that was the reason that they have demoted him from his own company. He is
I didn't know he'd been demoted.
no. He's no longer,
Well, he demoted himself.
but he's not the spokesman anymore. The only thing you'll hear from him
not
on the
the
end of his
CEO
commercials is
fresh ingredients, fresh pizza, or something.
that's
whatever.
it. Yeah, the one line,
Yeah,
Papa John's.
I didn't know that.
because he was doing them with Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
J.J. Watt too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that
and
was
J.J.
that
Watt,
was
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
that was kind of funny because here's the commercial with J.J. Watt carrying this guy, the pizza delivery guy, and I'm thinking J.J. Watt is hurt, so people in their minds are saying, if he's hurt, what's he doing carrying this guy during a pizza commercial?
But we don't know
called
when. We don't know.
CGI, folks.
We don't
It's
know
called
when that commercial was
CGI.
actually
Film.
filmed.
I know, but let's go back to Arkansas and Alabama for a minute. No, never mind. You didn't get it. It was a joke.
Now,
It
wait a
was
minute, wait a minute. Hey,
joke.
hey, Kirk, you said you were in Memphis when you saw that bumper sticker.
I was, yes.
Well, if memory serves me correctly, part of Memphis is in Arkansas.
West Memphis.
West Memphis.
West Memphis.
Yeah.
That is actually a different city. You know that, right?
It's still called West Memphis, Arkansas.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
They used to have one of the best barbecue places in the.
Oh, they still do.
In West
Rendezvous.
Memphis, Arkansas, called Hog Wild Barbecue.
Every
And it
spring.
They won the Memphis in May barbecue
Yeah.
contest.
Every spring,
Several
Memphis
years.
and
It
May.
was incredible. Other people like West Memphis have been to Hog Wild Barbecue, obviously. I don't think the place is even there anymore. It used to be. It was.
Been a rendezvous.
And the survey said,
Here's the thing. I'm a wet rib guy, and Rendezvous is a dry rib place. And I've eaten there. I've eaten there 2 or 3 times, and I mean it's okay. But I love wet ribs. And they'll say, well, we put sauce on it. Yeah, dude. After you know,
Yeah,
after it's all done, you put some sauce. Yeah, that's not wet ribs. I'm sorry. If you like dry ribs, they have. I mean, it really is. It's the very best. But sorry, got off on barbecue.
No, it's okay.
talking about food.
Hey,
That's
we'll cover everything here, man. We'll cover all the balls and we'll cover food because there ain't nobody in this room that don't like to eat. I can tell you that right
How
now.
about that?
Yeah.
Well, what about McDaniel doing the about face on the?
I
Coach.
think that's a setup deal.
I think it's a
he's
se-
there- they,
I think
they
you're
got
right.
him in line to be the new coach at New England whenever Belichick does stuff.
I think Belichick has got one more year, and then when that happens, then McDaniel will step into that position.
think
He's
they
being
found-
groomed
I think they found him a pretty good coach. So.
because the thing about it is, and everybody talks about this, and all the other sports shows talk about this too, is that the New England Patriots is a system. They have a system in place where a lot of teams don't have that system, but it's Belichick's system. But apparently it works pretty well because the people who assistant coach for Belichick and who assistant coach for Saban in their systems
Right.
end up being head coaches somewhere else.
and wind up being successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which are both the same system,
Right.
given that they both work together.
But at some point, Saban's going to end up playing himself. Or
I think
playing
he has several times.
or playing
Well,
his
he
system.
did this past year. I mean,
He
Yeah.
played himself in the national championship.
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's Kirby Smart, and he had a heck of a recruiting year.
He did.
He did. Yeah.
So,
Some are saying it's the best class in history, or most talented.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I think we'll see. I think we'll see Tennessee do a whole lot better with their new coach. I really do, because he is. I mean, he's coming. And I loved his very first interview when he said, "Look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to teach those guys. They're going to learn how to behave in class. They're going to learn how to say yes sir and no sir. They're going to learn how to make sure. You know, we're going to take care. We're going to develop the entire player. And one of the things, whether you like University of Alabama or not, no offense, but whether you like them or not, Saban's team, he keeps them in line.
He does.
Yeah.
And his his work. We're going to be disciplined. And I appreciate that. That's what you have to do to build a good program.
The one thing that Johnny Majors did was every one of his football players went to Speech 101. He had them prepared to go before a microphone and not sound like a street kid.
Right.
He had them ready that when that microphone comes on, you speak properly and you use good etiquette and you say yes, sir, and no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. He had them prepared for that, and that was something he was really, really strict on.
Well, and it makes a difference. It really does. It makes a difference in how you carry yourself off the field. Mm-hmm. But we all know, we've all seen programs, successful programs have major problems because their players are not being controlled, and controlled is probably not the right word. Their players are not controlling themselves.
They're not being taught.
They're not being taught. They're getting in trouble off the field, and it makes a difference. And it will cause a program to go down very quickly. So.
Yep.
Well, I'll add to that though, and I think a lot of people look at the systems with Belichick and Saban and think they're just super complicated. But what you just said is essentially that's it. I mean, developing discipline, increasing character, teaching work ethic, all that stuff. I mean, all the simple stuff. It's easy to understand, but it's really difficult to execute. I think a lot of people, understand the system. A lot of coaches do. Everybody goes to Nick Saban's coaching clinic every year, but they don't have the means to execute the system, if that makes sense.
Well, but do you have to have that level of talent in order to be able to execute that system?
I think to achieve the level of success he has, yes. But I'll never say that it's because of the level of talent. That's why Nick Saban, that's the only reason why he's won that many championships. You see plenty of times in the past, I think over the past 15 years, Ohio State and University of Miami, you could argue that they've probably had 3 or 4 teams in the past 15 years where they have the most talent.
Mm-hmm.
And you could probably say that about others. That's just the one that are off the top of my head. But it's just executing that system and not wavering, being the best advice I ever heard, and I get this from Coach Sharp at Lewis County all the time, is be consistent. And if you waver consistency at all,
You've lost it.
You have.
Yeah.
Well,
and
look what Clemson did the last 3 years. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
completely different coaching styles socially,
Right.
but very consistent.
Right.
Dabo Swinney is as consistent as they come, and it's the same system, just socially handles his players different, demands a high level of character, demands the most out of them.
Well, let's look at because we've talked about what that does off the field. But let's look at what it does on the field. If I'm self-disciplined, if I'm developed character, then when somebody on the other team says something about me or says something about my mama or ticks me off in some way, I don't hit them, I don't cuss them, I don't get a 15-yard penalty, I don't get kicked out of the game. Those penalties add up.
Mm-hmm.
When those penalties can add up very quickly.
Oh, you hit them. You hit them on the next play.
But you hit them right.
That's right.
You hit them the right way.
That's what I mean.
You hit them.
You hit them the right way. But I'm talking about losing it and snapping on somebody right there. And we've seen that over and over again. That when you're disciplined, you're able to control yourself. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because those penalties can, like I said, they add up very quickly, and they can really have an impact on a close game.
All right, Eric, you being the player in the room.
And the coach. He's
And the
man
coach.
now.
Yeah, but we got to go back to the player part to get this answer. Which game did a player tick you off the most?
Tullahoma every time we played.
No
Every
hesitation.
time.
Going to the jumbotron. Yes.
I was I feel like
Yeah, that's about the size of this TV,
Yeah.
by the way. I just want to tell you.
I was always very composed for the most part. I had an issue with that up until, probably my sophomore, junior year. And I started developing composure. But I don't know what it was. I mean, maybe there's Tullahoma people listening. I don't know. But it's just, we couldn't stand them. And I ended up playing with a couple guys. I was actually ended up being really good friends with Jared Davis, who was the quarterback there. He played at Tennessee Tech. Ended up being a long starter for Tech. I got to know him well. Great guy. And other guys too. But it's just, for those 48 minutes, I couldn't stand them. And a couple of times it got to me, and I got out of my character. I told a kid, he said something to me, and first off, I'm not promoting this behavior whatsoever.
After we've just been talking about self-control, yes.
Here is exactly what not to do.
Yeah, but he was
okay?
17 years old, too.
I was 16 on this year. And a kid said something to me. He was a good player. And I said, next time the ball comes your way, I'm hitting you no matter what. And I was playing safety. They threw a ball deep, went over his head. The ball bounced probably 3 or 4 times on the ground, and then I hit him. And I said, I said something like, I'm not a liar or something like that,
Yeah, I'm
but
promising you, it's going to happen.
But I mean, but it was a great rivalry. I mean, if you think about the games, junior
But what
year.
about the year that Aaron Hoth destroys the TV in the locker room?
that was Tullahoma.
Was that? Yeah, I know. That was
Yeah.
the Tullahoma
That
game.
was,
that was 2010, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
That was the
when we
night
played
the
that.
lights went out too, wasn't it?
It was.
We've been on this show. We've been on this show for over a year now, and it has not been brought up one time. But no, we have to bring up the fact. But I will say
But
this:
it was one of the officials.
officials, a non-working official who came over from Tullahoma who cut the lights out that night. But I will remind
the next
every
week was Hickman County.
yeah,
They
but
did it too.
no, it wasn't the next week. No, it was next year that they
next
did
year.
that. Yeah,
But here's
Yeah.
all right, but I'm going to remind you, everyone in this room right here,
We're
when the
2-0.
lights go out at Lindsey
2-0.
Nelson Stadium, we are 2-0.
2-0.
Thank you very much.
hey,
That's right.
that was also the game and the night that we found out that Trey D talked a lot.
Yeah,
Well, and that was Trady.
was-
That was weird because he didn't talk at all until his senior year, and it just you couldn't shut him up his senior year.
That's true. I mean, he was very quiet. Always had been,
was.
Yeah.
I mean, when the official came over and said 30,
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, who?
and Vance looked
Yeah.
at him and
Like,
was like,
no.
what?
yeah.
No, he doesn't. Because
He don't say
And
anything.
Howard was
Well,
30. He never says anything.
Well, I think a lot of it though was, and I kind of like that was the same year. I acted out of character, but we had a huge chip on our shoulder that year, and a lot of teams really didn't respect us. And there was things that were being said, because we had graduated 22, 21 seniors or something like that, and we had lost 2 games, the first 5 games of the year, and we weren't respected at all, and we were pretty upset about it, so much to the point where guys like Trady start speaking up, So
well, my understanding was he spoke up a lot.
he did. He did. But yeah,
And
the
the
fire in
thing
him came
was,
out.
my understanding
He
was that
backed up his talk.
well, yeah, and we kept hearing this on Saturday morning when we would do the show that Trey D does his speaking on the field. Well, we took that as in his play.
His helmet.
Oh
Yeah.
no, this was actually speaking, and the referee that night said, "Coach, I wouldn't have thrown the flag if I hadn't been standing right next to him when he did it."
I had to.
Yeah.
But I also remember when we got the knock on the door and the roses handed in.
Oh yeah.
The Black Roses.
And
Coach Oath brought in
they
black
were
roses.
coming.
Yeah.
That was when Aaron threw down and did everything.
Yeah.
The kids jumped up and they're playing the national anthem.
Yeah.
And they're trying to come out.
Yeah. We're in there losing our minds.
Yeah.
We were the first ones that protested the national anthem on accident.
And the young man in the line suit after the game went and got the roses and tried to give them back.
Oh
to
yeah.
Tullahoma.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, Leo actually messed up trying to do that.
Yeah.
Well, he never got close to him.
I know.
And if you look at the picture
Yeah.
of the team, the black roses are spread in front.
Really? Golly.
Those
a
are good
wild-
times, guys. I'm
was.
telling you. It was. Those are
It
good
was.
times.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Best time at UNA?
Best time at UNA?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, man. Well, I would say Jacob Tucker, Mr. Football One from Perry
Right.
County. He's a guy that got me to come to UNA. He was a role player that year as a quarterback. We'd bring him in, and he would just run through guys.
Right.
He wasn't respected as a thrower, which was ridiculous because he's a incredible thrower. Ended up being an incredible all-around quarterback his last year. But it was very rare that we would be on the field at the same time because he would come in every 3 drives, and me and the other ex receiver, we were rotating my senior year, and we had 2 plays together, and I told this story last time about, the atmosphere. It was against Florida Tech, big conference game, and we had 2 plays together that whole day, and the second play threw me a touchdown pass, and we got to celebrate together, and we had counted up, and we had only been on the field together, like 20 plays or something like that. So the odds of that happening, it was really cool, and being able to experience that with him, that was awesome. Given that I wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for him anyway.
But then again, we'll remind you that for anybody planning on going to UNA, it's not an out-of-state tuition
That's right.
anymore.
You get in-state, which is,
Yeah.
and it's rated every year in Alabama as the best value of education you can get. It's
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful campus too.
It is.
We toured it. My daughter did, and I did over fall.
Is Anna Cat going down there?
Well, she was. She wants to go into special education,
Okay.
and she was looking at their program. She wants to do middle school and high school more, and their special education program is, I think, K-6.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
that was the only thing she really liked. She loved the campus. Was excited about that, but she was just like, it's just not. So yeah, we're not, because Dad was kind of excited. It's a little closer. It's not too far away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a nice drive, too. Now that they've 4-laned everything down through there, it's really, really, and still 4-laning it.
and a lot of people don't know there are 2 live lions on campus.
Yes.
Yes, I've
Yes.
seen
Actual
them.
lions.
Yes.
And when they roar,
It's for real.
it is unreal. I mean, you're in class and you hear, it's like your soul leaves your body when that happens. It's crazy. It's unreal.
Sometimes freshmen disappear.
That's right.
We don't know where they go.
That's right. They disappear.
The Lions love freshmen.
That's right.
It's hazing to a whole new level.
We are going to try, and I spoke to him last Tuesday when he was at Central. We're going to try to get Dre on here.
Yeah.
And get you two together back on the show.
Yeah.
Together. Hopefully for next week, if that's at all possible, we
Yeah.
can. Or the week
Definitely.
after. But I'll let you know when he's coming
And
on.
I'll talk
'cause-
to him too. I'll give him a call.
Yeah, because that would be fun.
That
I'd
would
love
be.
to have you two guys on at the same time.
That would be. That was a fun experience. That's another good one at UNA too. Being able
Yeah.
to line up beside him for 3 years in high school and then 2 years in college. That's pretty.
And then what about this last year when he and Markham hooked up? I mean,
Yeah, that was really cool.
That's cool.
I mean, that whole experience it's wild.
That's one where you set the record, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I end up seeing Markham in a boot. I'm like, what?
That kid plays hard. I mean,
He
he always
does.
ends up hurting something, but that's just. I mean, he leaves it all and always has.
I didn't think he was going to survive his freshman year at Central.
Oh, I know. Mm-hmm.
He took a beating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
the thing
he'd
about it
hop
is
up
when
and
he
say,
when he
"Is
came
that all
in
you got?"
when he came in as a sophomore, we sat there and watched him every time he played. It's like he'd get knocked down, get back up, and say, "Come on,
Oh yeah.
let's
I
do
know.
it again."
And I'll say this to this day. I don't know if there's another player in school history that only threw 1 interception in their first 8 games.
Right.
And I'd put a lot of money on that, which was really, really impressive. And he was a 15-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as we threw the ball at that point,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. So shows a lot about his character too.
Well, he could move too.
he
I
could.
mean,
He's a load.
yeah.
He ain't gonna run around you.
No, he'll run through you.
It's point A to point B.
That's true. Well, we'll try to do that for next week if we
Yeah.
possibly can.
Just imagine if he'd had 4 or 5 more inches in height.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh wow.
Gosh.
Wow. He would have been a beast of a
Oh,
quarterback
mhm.
and have that accuracy.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
I think the height played in his favor some character wise. I think he put that as a chip in his shoulder. You
Chip
know,
on his shoulder.
which I love that about him. Some people call it little man syndrome. You know, he didn't like being called short, and he made sure you knew that he didn't play short. So
No, he did not play
did not.
short.
No.
he
No.
didn't.
No, you knock him down, he's like a weeble, man. He may wobble, but he ain't going down.
Look at Flutie.
Yeah, exactly.
Flutie was a little guy.
Yeah.
Drew Brees, he's 5'10", I think.
Yeah. On a good day.
On a good day, with cleats on, tissues in his.
Well, guys, thank y'all for coming in. It's time for some True Love's pizza.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, we got some of that. Miss James is cooking up the True Love's pizza over in the other room, so we got to go get it. And we're going to go get it right
Absolutely.
now. So for everybody on the show, you guys have a nice evening, everybody.